Yo guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another weekly forecast, and obviously we're going to jump straight into just analyzing what happened on gold. I'm going to be mainly talking about Nasdaq because that's what I've been trading, this week and to be honest, the majority of this month. So you can see here at the moment, I've said it time and time again on the free channel. Again, link is in the description if you are not in. But I've been saying time and time again that I'm expecting for price to break below this trendline liquidity before price climbs. The reason being is that when you sort of get this sort of consolidation phase where price is building up liquidity, price won't just run and continue going higher if it hasn't manipulated the lows, right? This happens all the time, and I've said it time and time again, where you get these sort of big bullish moves where price is climbing, it won't continue climbing without some sort of liquidity collection or some sort of retest. You can see here price manipulated these lows here, and then price sort of consolidated again and it was going to go higher. No, it didn't. It manipulated again these lows here, and then price basically pushed it up. So similar sort of setup, however, on a much higher time frame. You can potentially say that this is either a weekly or a monthly sort of setup, with the markets being obviously in there. Some months you can expect, price to sort of accumulate before some sort of big move in the final sort of quarter of the year. So at the moment you can see the price is sort of bouncing on this trend line, and when price pushed up here, let's undo that. When price was pushing up at the start of the week, right, obviously price was in a buy program at this point, so we were targeting this high right here. However, when price failed and closed back below a bullish fair value gap right there, and price closed below it, this is when I was expecting for price to continue to fill the bullish fair value gaps up and take out some of the liquidity at the same time, right? And this is what I mentioned on the free channel, where when price is falling, I noticed that a lot of people were anticipating buy positions, right? And they were anticipating that price is going to go back up to continue the trend. However, with the market currently in a sell program, you can't go and say that yes, price is now going to reverse from here when it actually hasn't showed you that it's ready to reverse. For example, let's take this, right? You know that price has pushed down here, right? And it's now giving you these clean candles that price is about, wants to break out. This then becomes a breaker, and then you can see when price sort of retests this area, it continues, and obviously it pushed further down within this range, and then once it did, it then continued up, right? The same thing happened here where price was pushing down. You can see that price took out these lows. It still wasn't confirmed. However, you would say that price confirmed it here. 4-hour fair value gap was inverted, right? Price usually leaves these fair value gaps, right, as indication. They're sort of signatures left by the market to let you know that, yo, I'm about to turn around here. If you want to get involved, right? Because we had a sweeper, price, it collected the lows, and then on the next 4-hour candle broke above this. This is obviously a higher time frame. Yes, you might find a cleaner setup on the lower time frame. However, we're just using the higher time frame for now, just because it's a weekly forecast. Price closed above, and then this was your confirmation that we're about to sort of switch into a buy. These are the areas that you want to get into the buy. Yes, fair enough, you do want to get into the buy at the lowest possible area, but you will agree, just as much as I do, that this is a much higher risk position because it's not actually being fully confirmed that it's actually going to head into that area. And I don't mind entering the move later but being right than entering the move early and being wrong. So the same thing happens when price is sort of moving down here, right? You can see that prices are broken below this bullish BISI basically, or 1-hour fair value gap, and now this becomes an inverted fair value gap. Now, I'm only bullish, as what I say here, if price breaks above this again to push up. Right now, just follow the trend. So then what happens? Price basically holds off here, pushes down again, and then I believe it retraces a little. A little retracement here. However, now this, what has this become? This has become a bearish breaker, right? Reason being is we have a sort of, let's say we have a high, low, higher high, lower low formation. Now this is going to act as support. So right now there's loads of areas that can provide, you know, support to price, and it's not fully confirmed that price is done, because we have this whole, you know, leg up that could be filled, and then on the higher time frame we have this trend line liquidity. So anyway, I'm not going to spend too much on it. I do know that I will tend to waffle a lot here, but you can see that if we go in exit replay mode, price just continued pushing back down, took out all of these sort of lows, and a lot of people are anticipating buys for price to push back up. However, you can see that bearish PD arrays were acting as support. Price then broke below the weekly low, which is here, and I said on my free channel that with sort of, let's just write PWH, it's not PWH, it's actually weekly open, but price will hold on this weekly open price to push price lower. It retraced on the hour time frame. You'll be able to see that retracement right here on this Greek candle. New York opened, pushed up back to the weekly open candle here, and then absolutely you know, slammed back lower again, taking out these lows and filling this fair value gap. So what happens next week, right? Next week, this is the key level. It still is, right? I'm going to still use it. I'm going to type it in because it's going to be a key level for me, right? Let's just do weekly open, right? That is the prior weekly open, right? So let's just do prior. Well, this actually can be the prior weekly low now, but it doesn't matter anyway. Besides the point, this prior weekly open, if price pushes above this prior weekly open, we are then back into bullish price action, right? However, if price stays below this, then your next draw on liquidity should be this low, and it should be all lows on the left of the curve, because our main target on the higher time frame is for price to manipulate this whole trend line liquidity, right? So it's to break out of this, induce some sellers. Obviously, yes, we're involved in the move because it is a high time frame move and we're just day trading here at the moment, and then potentially for price to then switch back into a buy program, taking out these highs and these highs. But that's a long way away. Right now, we want to see at what price action does around this area. If price immediately pushes back above the weekly open with a BISI or some sort of, you know, PD array that we can enter from, then I'd, you know, push price back up. I'd enter longs to push price back up into this inverted fair value gap to retest this breaker, and then to see what happens where the price wants to push down. But for now, this is your key level. Keep it nice and simple for you. Price stays below that, we look for sells and we continue this bearish move back down. However, if price breaks above, then you look for buys. Nice and simple. We keep that there. We move over to NASDAQ. Right, let's go over to the features area. Now, I'm going to keep this quite simple as well. Very bullish. However, it is slowing down. Yet last week was a bit slow because of a lot of, NASDAQ was lagging behind the other pairs that are correlating against it. So it was a very, very choppy. I expected that obviously in July. However, with the earnings that we had here, price pushed up and it's holding at this area for support and pushing higher. Price is now, you know, cleared out the prior weekly high, or actually the weekly open right here. So, but it hasn't really displaced above it. So I'm not expecting for price to use this as support. Like if price gave us a big fat candle on Monday above this weekly, the prior weekly high, then price should use that Monday sort of BISI or whatever gets created. Say for example, we get a big bullish candle, right, above this weekly high or prior weekly high here, then you'd expect for price to, say for example, push up a little here and then retrace back into this big candle to push back up, and price should use the prior weekly high as support. Now, if price pushes back down within the range, I would just use my main sort of inverted fair value gap of the week to hold price up to potentially, you know, follow bullish prices. However, if price breaks back below this whole thing, then I will start looking for sells. If price breaks back below this whole inverted fair value gap, closes back below, then this low, these lows will start being my drawn liquidity for price to be in a sell program. Quite simple. I'm using order flow a lot recently. It's really helping my trading, and you guys should start, if you don't do it already, start using it. It really helps in terms of forecasting what should happen in the next week, and it should really be as simple as that. So, like simply, like if you get Monday, Tuesday and it starts breaking up, then you're expecting continuations. However, if price breaks below, PD arrays that should be supporting price, then they will be acting as resistance. I'll keep it nice and simple. I'll end it right there. It's been Oasis FX. Peace out.